Imagine a league built by the people, for the people. A league dedicated to the economic development of your city. So the question becomes, how good are the 32 teams that play in the minor football league? Well, there's only one way to find out. You have to experience the MFL.
Welcome to another edition of Inside the MFL. I'm your host, Dr. Richard D. Myles, CEO, Chairman, and founder of the Minor Football League. It's Friday. I'm happy. I had my guest with me today, and everybody know it. Want to be soon one of the co-hosts of Inside the MFL. Hey, what can I say, Keith? How you doing today?
Good, Doc. Good to see you. Thanks for having me on the show. It's like old home week, so here we go.
It's one of those. It's one of those days. You know, this virus is terrible. By the way, are you going to take the shot?
Actually, I got tested for COVID just this week. Came back negative. I was near someone who contracted it, so it was the right thing to do. I will take the shot eventually in 2021. You know, the difference between 2020 and 2021 is about a minute in our given day. So not much is going to change over the first couple months in 2021. Certainly, everybody that I've heard from doctor-wise, et cetera, says hopefully by the middle of 2021, we should be on the right path and have a lot of people immunized. But I'll let other people go first. Sports is important to me, but same token, there are other people that are higher up on the list, and more important that it's more beneficial that they take the shot. But getting tested was interesting. It's similar to the way I've been tested in the past for sinus infection, and it's it wasn't as bad. It was kind of what I was thinking it was going to be, but anyway. But yes, this COVID 2020 thing is ridiculous. We see what's going on in college sports. We have some conference championships going on this weekend. We have some conference championships that have already been canceled. I was looking at the slate of games for this weekend, and it looked like more games had been canceled that were actually going to hit the air. So that was kind of humorous to me, and just kind of yes, it makes sense, because in 2020 that's more prevalent than actually getting on the field and playing.
Absolutely. My sentiments on that, I feel they should have never played from the beginning. I mean, you see the death toll of people, ordinary people dying out here. And I was sad to hear about the young man in college that fell out on the floor. I understand he's still in the hospital. Mm-hmm. That was school that was down in somewhere down in Florida, if I'm not mistaken, Keith.
I think that's correct. Florida is one of those states where you just don't know. It's a great unknown. I got a number of friends down in some great areas of Florida, especially on the West Coast, and anxious to go see them, but being very super cautious and not taking that trip. But yeah, Florida is one of those renegade states that just likes to kind of do things their own way. And while some states have said no outdoor dining as well as indoor dining, Florida is not one of those states. So it's very fortunate. It's always sad when a member of our youth dies so young, and there's a lot of that going on. And again, the COVID, it doesn't care how old you are. It takes you whenever it wants.
Absolutely, and it's a shame that what value we put on people's lives nowadays. In spite of all that's going on, you would think we would know better, but then again, it's all about the mighty dollar. And whether you want to admit it or not, that's true. But, let's get into the MFL. I mean, it's always a pleasure to have you on, get your insights to what we're doing. This snow right here did shake things up a little bit. I was glad to see it. I hope it kept going, But we got some. I'm expecting a couple of GMs to come on, especially one of the Philadelphia Saints GM, and also Mr. Leslie Koroma with the Houston Rams. It's a little storming up there and stuff. So, and as you can see, I was a minute or two late getting on myself because I was just running back from a Zoom meeting. But I just want to ask you, Keith, I mean, in the state of how things going on right now, and you being a reporter, I mean, in reporting different sports news, I guess, the great thing about us, we didn't go this year. I felt I say it'd be better not to go. Who knows? Some of them young men could have been, on this side of the ball in terms of the MFL, and that would really hurt me to my heart. But I'd like your insight on everything that we're doing in sports in general. So just take me, we go back a few, Keith, you know what I mean?
Yes.
And I generally don't talk about anything outside the MFL because we like to, I generally stay in there, but being from the nation capital, as you know, is other things going on. And that's the realization of it. The NFL is not the all be all, but we're going to cast it like that. But we are fortunate enough to have, we're getting a new owner soon with the North Carolina Oilers. We're going to have a new owner, and of course, the Fort Lauderdale 49ers. We're also excited about. We had the GM on and his son, and the coach up there at the Steelers up there. So we're excited about that. These owners get ready to come on, and we get ready to take care of the legal part of it and stuff. But I'm excited about that, Keith, the fact that now we're not just talking GM, we talk about ownership. And, from a media standpoint, tell me what's the significance of that coming from your side of things?
Well, the thing that is always I've admired, and the thing that's always intrigued me about the MFL is this developmental part of the person, not the player. I've been through a lot of more minor league leagues than you may even know about through your 25 plus years that you've been doing it. But it's really always been about the players getting an opportunity to play. After that, if the league folds, then that's it. The players have nowhere to go. I just take an example of the XFL, right? More professional football there, but the league is gone, and it may come back from the ashes because of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Time will tell on that. But those players have nothing else going on. A few of them have hit the NFL, but it's been less than a handful of guys. And it's really sad to see people be displaced. And I just remember when Vince McMahon pulled the rug, and everybody was gone, and he just said, "Hey, we're not paying anybody. We're not doing anything." That's totally bad business and very, very wrong. But you don't do things like that in the MFL. And I want to turn it back to you. I see Shawn is doing this, but
yes,
Oilers
on my mind. Of course, we got the Saints on, the Philadelphia Saints GM. How you doing there, sir? Unmute yourself.
You hardly ever say that to a general manager or an owner. I've never say unmute yourself. It's usually the un's not there. But
I tell them, unmute him.
He'll be back. But back to you, Myles, because I want to flip the tables on you and talk about this, because you have developed this league and you continue to develop this league, and you provide opportunities for individuals to play or to administrate or whatever it may be. What's it been within you to keep this going during this pandemic?
Well, with me, it's, I always say, this is not work for me, Keith. This is a dream. And my concept You know, I always say dreams, you know, apparently you have to wake up from a concept of something that's there, tangible, something that you have control over. And you know, the whole emphasizing the MFL, the laboratory of change. I want to give people, bring former players from the field to the front office, and more importantly, coaching. But even with players beyond the field, but more significant is ownership. You know, that's something been eluding people of color for a long time. And now this is something tangible that you can get an opportunity to own the franchise. And that was, you know, the great thing about this. These guys get an opportunity and they're taking advantage of it. So that's what I'm happy about.
Yeah, that makes total sense to me. But you haven't let anything stop you along the way. You've gone out and you've engaged the people or wherever it is. You said, hey, let's not stand still and pretend like we can't do anything during this pandemic, during the lockdown period of time. We can still get on the phone. We can still make deals. People are still out there for us. And as a matter of fact, a lot of times they're more available than they've ever been because of the way business is being done now.
Absolutely. And you know, this is the people always talk about getting back to normal. This is the new norm. And this is how things have to be handled now. And I understand that. And, you know, like I say, like-minded people with us. I see, I think Shawn getting himself together. I know we joined also, I think we joined, yeah. Robert, so can you hear us as well? Can you hear us, Russell?
I definitely can.
Okay. I don't know if you have a little squeaky in your voice. I know you came on. Russell, this is Keith Jones and Keith he's a reporter down here, the show down here with PK in Sports. And we're talking about the MFL and some of the things. I know you came on a little late. I don't know if you had the opportunity to hear the stuff that we're talking about. But more importantly, you know, you want to chime on in?
Unfortunately, I did not hear. I had some trouble getting in and getting my stream set up.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll just go ahead and then you jump on in. We're talking about the NFL and the laboratory change, bringing former players from the field to the front office, beyond the field with players, because we want to teach these guys how to be entrepreneurs. You can't play football forever. More importantly, we're talking about the glass ceiling was always there with African American when it comes to coaching positions in the NFL or in the college ranks, you know, really. So the MFL provides an opportunity you don't find outside of college or professional football. More importantly, ownership, you know, that's something that we're talking about generational wealth, because you look at the other league and you look at most of those people, you can attest to this, Keith, wasn't there when their grandfathers and their grandfather did that. Back then, the owners was more into their players in the league and what they was trying to do. I think it's more so about money, because it had to be a money grab. Talking to Dr. Freeman, the owner up there of the Chargers in the NFL, and we just be talking all the time, and we talking about the money grab, because the NFL really don't need people in the stands, because quote, they're gonna get their money because of what? You got beer commercial, hot dogs, pizza. What you gonna do? Say, let's go get a pizza, let's go get a hot dog. So see, they making their money without fans. So, you know, we trying to get them. That's the significance of ownership. You want to chime in on that, Russell? Keith?
Yeah, Russell, you muted yourself again. What was the whole thing about the NFL playing their games? Because the television money is so big with the networks, the owners get paid that way. So if there's no airing of the games, that costs them a lot of money. The concessions, the seats, all the other stuff, the suites certainly hurt them a little bit. But that's all money on top of the television money, which obviously I don't hear any owner stepping up and say, "Woe is me. I'm struggling right now. I need somebody to give me a monetary handout in the league." Everything seems to be going business-wise very, very well in the NFL.
Right. They have the strategic alliances to make sure that they have that their money is continuous. If you look at Jerry Jones, whereas though he has a piece of the Yankees game during baseball season, and they have a piece of his during football season, just to keep their cash flows continuous.
And you know, what is that about? I want to say hats off. Finally, they acknowledged the Negro Baseball League. And that was something way overdue and should have been done a long time ago, because they waited till most of those guys were way beyond their prime to even let them get an opportunity. By that time, all their good years that was beyond them. And I know I told people, I think what I forgot his name, bear with me, Keith, that brought Jackie Robinson in there. It wasn't about black and white. It was about money.
Ranch Ricky.
So when the other white owners say, well, we're going to protest, and people say, well, we're not going to go. He wasn't worried about that, because all them African Americans was coming to see that one player. You know what I mean? The only problem with that was the Negro League was doing well, as y'all know, because you couldn't play in the white league. So now that was the best time to me, and I don't want to make y'all think I'm older than 65 now, but I am very knowledgeable about things. I do read. But the stadium was packed, Keith. A lot of people don't understand. I think they were misinformed with this. That remember that semi-pro stuff they had? You might have 10 people there at the game, old guys beyond the time. But this was a professional league. These guys were making money. These guys were so good that the other league never played a regular season game against them. They did what they call all-star game. But who would win? The Negro League would always win. But see, they don't have to put that in the books, right, Keith? Oh, it was an all-star game. You know what I mean? But
exhibition.
There you go. But you have people still hung up on color, you know what I mean, right? As opposed to business. You know, it's just, and a lot of people understand that, Keith. And I'm gonna be honest with you. You know who I had the biggest problem with? People of color, my own people. Believe it or not. You know, and you would think that the support would be there, and it's not. And you might want to chime in on that, Russ. I mean, as African American men, I mean.
Well, I experience it on both sides, Dr. Myles. When I'm dealing with the public at large, it has been a difficult set of circumstances. But when I'm dealing with prominent Black, Asian, Latino business people, it's been a different experience, because they're able to take the emotion out of the transaction and just look at the numbers. When you're dealing with the public at large, especially a marginalized populace, they have distrust all over the place, not just with us, but period. So you have a bigger hill to climb. And so, you know, that's been my experience.
And you know, to you, Keith, and I always tell people all the time, this ain't the Negro Leagues now. This is the minor football league. So we don't want people to be misinformed. Like, we don't want other nationalities here, because if you're good enough, we're gonna sign you. See, we're not caught up in all that. So even with you, Keith, I was just bringing that, and you know the history of sports in general. So you don't look at it through color, although you can't miss that. You know, that's something that's there. As a reporter, you have to look at it out of both eyes, but different ways, right?
You're supposed to look at it very objectively, not subjectively. What happened in the game? Talk about it, and that's one of the reasons I love sports much better than news, because it is the great equalizer. It is the game was played. This is what happened in the game. What you talk about, whatever sports going on, you don't spin on it. You try to tilt it one way or the other. Great admiration. Negro League, working on some stories over the years with the Negro League. Satchel Paige, great player and pitcher, played into his 40s. I mean, the talent that a league like that had, because it wasn't integrated. And even the PGA Tour, the Elder is a great friend of mine and has been for decades. And he finally got through to play at Augusta National as the first man of color, as the PGA Tour puts it. But these things are more an anomaly, but somebody has to be the first to do that. If there was no Lee Elder, there's no Tiger Woods. And I know Tiger doesn't necessarily consider himself a black man or an African American, but still a man of color, and a very successful man of color in the area of sports, which is a great thing for so many people. And we saw that the Tiger effect, more than any other player in the history of the game, has brought the young, the old, the multinational, the multicolor. Everybody is love or hate Tiger Woods, is a follower of him when he is involved in the game of golf. And that's what we need to see more of. The inclusion. We're back on this topic again, Myles, which you and I have talked about infinitum, and that is the opportunity for the African American player when it comes to football positions. The NFL is back at it again. There are 4 minority head coaches in the NFL, 3 of which are black, including Mike Tomlin, who's one of the most successful head coaches in the history of the league. Ron Rivera has done a fantastic job in Washington, and he's the only non-African American minority coach. But there are a bunch of other guys who may or may not get the opportunity. But just this week, I've seen a bunch of articles written about this coming up as a topic. In the MFL, you don't deal with that because that's taken out of the play. Yes, okay, the founder is an African-American man. Got that part. But that's not, when it comes to sport, which is the great equalizer, that's not what the MFL is about. And it's about the opportunity, or as you always like to say, the laboratory of change. And that's what makes it different than any other sports entity on the planet.
And we do have Shawn here. How you doing, sir? Unmute yourself. Unmute yourself. Can you hear us, Shawn? Okay. Well, what we do, you keep on, we're going to get you. But Shawn, can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me, Doc?
Absolutely. Shawn is the general manager of the Philadelphia Saints. I want you to introduce yourself to everybody. Shawn, I know you heard the conversation somewhat. So
Yes, I have. My name is Shawn Wilson. I thank the Creator for life and for the will to serve all of creation. I just want to be able to just apologize. I had some technical difficulties on my side here, trying to get on, but I'm grateful to be here today, and I hope everyone is having a blessed day. And with everything that's happening in the world, I hope and pray that all your families and everyone are doing just fine during this time. I have had the opportunity to listen at everything that was going on while I was trying to get on, and a big part of what we are doing here in Philadelphia. I am so glad that Dr. Myles and Keith, that you have given us here in Philadelphia the opportunity to be a part of the laboratory of change. Since we have been a part of, and the Saints have been added to the MFL's roster of teams to be included in this laboratory of change, we have had the opportunity, even with the corona, to have a lot of interest about the MFL and the opportunities that the MFL gives the young people, male and female, young and old, and community-based opportunity for us to be able to have economic development, while all the while bringing stability, and community enrichment to the city of Philadelphia. And so we're just proud to be a part and representative of the state of Pennsylvania, in all 67 counties, which is very important for the economic development of Pennsylvania. So football is near and dear to all Philadelphians. Everyone knows that our Philadelphia Eagles, and Philadelphians are very passionate about their teams. And what we want to be able to do is to make sure that we do not disappoint the 67 counties of Pennsylvania, and that we will produce a product that will be just as that will be again the laboratory of change for the state of Pennsylvania, and what we could bring in terms of economic development, workforce development, and a social, overall social, and love, love on purpose, as we continue to try to be the agents of change that's needed, in our world.
Before I turn Keith over to you to answer some questions, I'm particularly fond of what Shawn doing. He's a former police officer up there, and he's also a part of an organization that near and dear to my heart, because I have a son and a daughter in the military. My daughter was in the Army, and my son is a gunnery sergeant, 3 Purple Hearts and everything. I'm glad to have him home. He worked with the Pentagon there. So that's something near and dear to my heart, Keith, that he's doing some powerful stuff up there. So the interview with him and other people, I jumped in the interview when it come to interviewing Shawn. When I saw his stuff, I wanted to make sure I was in on that. Russ, this fit the mold of what we want in the MFL. So Shawn, I'm gonna let Keith answer some questions and see how things going on and what it means. I'll let him ask his own question, because Keith he's the media down here, and we like him to talk to our GMs. Go ahead, Shawn. I'm sorry, Keith.
That's all right, Keith and Shawn. Yeah, Myles does share occasionally on that. You could ask some good questions as well. But did Myles, did you say Shawn is the general manager of the team?
Yes.
That's what I heard. Nobody will ever see a general manager in professional football like Shawn, because there is a man with a man's beard and obviously a lot of experience.
Oh, y'all say that because I cut mine off. Mine was big at first.
Yeah, I know, but look at his.
Russ Lab, and I have one too.
No player is going to give him, Myles. No player is going to give him grief. Let me tell you, he'll be a very successful general manager just based on that demeanor. But Shawn, you've got a huge opportunity in a major city, but they already have a football team. They've had them around since the 1930s. So it's a matter of you going in and figuring out how you're going to be able to carve out your piece of the pie. How have you been doing that, and what are you looking at going forward?
Well, Keith, it's been a full journey in terms of, this is a dream come true. It's almost like I've died and went to heaven to have an opportunity to be a part of something so historic, something so needed, and for so long. I can remember being, just being a young kid growing up in Philadelphia, watching the Philadelphia Eagles, and wanting to play little league football, not having, the ability to pay because just not having enough money. It costs money to be a part of the little league teams. And, unfortunately, so many kids go today without the ability to be able to play in the Pop Warner leagues. And even sometimes it might not even be a situation of money or finances, but it might be a situation of weight classification. You know what I mean? There's a lot that goes into it, and what we have an opportunity to do now, with having the Pennsylvania Saints is one thing, is being, and like you said, the laboratory of change, because we have an opportunity to have feeder teams, feeder teams that will actually be able to be feeders that come from Pop Warner, that come from the Keystone League, that come from the Little Quakers, that come from all of the historic teams and that make up the fabric of Pennsylvania youth football. And so now we have an opportunity through the MFL to be the ambassadors and be quote unquote the big brothers and big sisters, to the youth of Philadelphia, utilizing the mentorship program, the ambassadorship program, and everything that the MFL stands for in terms of the community service work that the MFL has teams as a whole doing in the cities and in the country, in Africa, and everywhere where there is an MFL franchise. There is opportunity to have community ambassadors for the sport as well as for God, and for good. And so, the Philadelphia is in need of that kind of mentorship, and we're just so happy and proud to be a part of it. And in terms of the Philadelphia Eagles, who have been here forever, we take our hats off to them, and we don't look as being a rival to the Eagles, but we look to being, again, why not a feeder team? There's some new and exciting opportunities that we could bring, that Dr. Myles has set out to be able to do, and his relationship with the NFL. There's some exciting things that I think that we might be able to draft up and get going, where we could make, the MFL, the NFL, a collaboration, in some maybe some respects, as to how we move forward, coming from a community aspect. So I'm excited about that, Keith. I'm excited about it. I'm excited about what we've been able to do thus far, and even with the COVID, again, like I said, it's an opportunity for us to get some young guys out there that want to be able to play the game and have an opportunity to play, but this didn't have it, to go on to play in higher education or Division I or Division II school. They have an opportunity to come out and really, participate and be a part of the MFL.
Well, Shawn, you brought up a point there, and that is the community is of the essence, because if you take that approach like you're talking about and make it less about football and more about community involvement, it's a win-win, because we know what kind of tough town and city that Philadelphia is for its sports. But if you don't say, here's sports, here's another football team, you say, wait a second, we're in the community, we're making this. And yes, by the way, our sport is football. It'll make a huge difference for you, and it sounds like you're on the way to doing that.
If I could chime in, gentlemen, piggyback off of what Shawn indicated, we live in a city that's 46% African American. We also live in a highly politically charged city right now, because there's $16 billion worth of construction going on in our city, and a portion of there which they're trying to gentrify our city and make it the new Baltimore Harbor, if you will, down in our Center City area. Something like the MFL is sorely needed in our community. I think from a political standpoint, it combats recidivism as far as people that may go down the wrong road. We're able to capture them and give them something that they that's constructive. I also see a lot of the high schools, in addition to the Pop Warner leagues, looking at this as an opportunity for those individuals who are right there but did not well enough to get to Division I or Division II. So I look at it in a variety of different ways. I don't think there's a lot of in this community that cannot afford to maybe advertise or import themselves with the Eagles and the NFL because of their price structure. This will be a great way for them to get their names out and their products to bring the products to the awareness of the community, hopefully with a different price structure. Lastly, I don't know where we're going to be playing the games, but there are a number of different colleges around in this area that, especially smaller colleges that have the stadium, but don't have the revenue that maybe a Temple or University of Penn enjoys. And this will be maybe a shot in the arm to them economically and give the team a good place, a respectable place to play.
I think that you gentlemen, it just epitomizes, as you know, Keith, I am these people. You know, I'm always finding diamond in the rough. You know, I'm gonna take that. Y'all hear that, Russ? But gentlemen, I'm excited about that. We are more than just football. And when you read our stuff, people are impressed because we are looking out for the younger men, like our program, No Thugs, No Drugs, Early Youth Offender Program, Conflict Resolution. These are national programs that was implemented around, and all of the franchises are going to implement these programs. But these were nationally funded programs. You know, they was that good because who these kids can identify with more than a family member other than an athlete, you know. And I tell people all the time, they used to get mad at me when I was playing the league because I used to say, you know, ball players is not role models. And a lot of people used to get really mad at me for saying that. And why would you say that? You know, you're supposed to be setting an example. I said, I'm not going to lie to people. Your mother and father are your role models. Your uncle, your brother. Not a guy that you see on TV, you never see him. You might see him one time, and he's going to say what he think he wants you to hear. But I know in implement these programs, design these programs, we put a body on a body in our early youth offender program. And we go back with a report we can give the judge and say why this young man shouldn't be incarcerated. You know, I always say documentation be conversation. So when you have a report and you say, okay, I checked on him in school. I was in his house with him. This young man, you know, deserve another chance. You know, that's why I call the program Early Youth Offender Program. Sometimes kids get in trouble. They might never get in trouble again if you have the right supervision with them. And just like the No Thugs, No Drugs, I don't care what nobody say, they fund this program when I first brought it to Montgomery County because they like the way it sounds. No thugs, no drugs. But when I explain to them, drugs don't walk in the neighborhood. You get rid of the thugs, you'll get rid of the drugs. You know, oh, so that's why you named it Dr. Myles. Of course. Early intervention, you know, conflict resolution. And I tell people, when you look on our website, we do outreach education prevention. You know, we're going to go in the neighborhoods. That's why all the players have to do 100 hours of community service. That's why the dance team members. That's why we ask the coaches and stuff. Oklahoma, where we got the Cowboys, that they got a huge statement. They hold 40-some thousand people. They talked to our GM, and GM said, I don't know, Dr. Myles. I said, give me his number. I called the gentleman. I started talking to him. He went right to his computer. And he said, well, Dr. Myles, you think we can get the guys to come speak to the kids? I said, all our guys got to do 100 hours of community service. He said, huh? And then I told him, I said, we want to enhance what the community doing. We ain't trying to take nothing from them. You know, we had this situation, Dr. Freeman, to tell you, we went in to rent the stadium. He have a lovely a sports complex up there. And you know, because of what it is, because of me, they said, well, we want $2,700 a game. I said, well, if you look at the RSP and read it, no, that's what we want because we got to pay for security. Now, this guy knew nothing about business, gentlemen, at all. He was so worried about getting that money up front to see, you know, that if he would have read the RFP, we weren't going to share the concession. He would have gotten $13,000 a game. Okay? Because we was going to give them a percentage of the concession in the pocket. They would have got $13,000 a game. you see what I'm saying?
Unfortunate.
You know, and Dr. Freeman will tell you, you know me, Keith, I'm very forward. And I told Dr. Freeman, let me talk to this guy. Give me somebody with some authority because obviously you have none. You don't know how to deal with something of this magnitude. I think he's used to dealing with little boys club teams or something. You're going to get 13,000 times 5 games, Keith. Right.
Short-sighted. That's
Shawn?
yeah.
Huh? It
Yeah.
doesn't. But you were getting the money up front when we would have gave you some of the concession. You only pay one time to come in the game. You eat for 3 hours. Isn't that where the money at? You understand?
Pretty much got it mapped out, Doc.
You know, and that's why I tell them, you know, we're making sure this affordable entertainment. I always say most families consist of 4 people. We're doing a season ticket to admit 4 people, $400, all 5 home games. Try to go on that Washington game with 1 ticket, see what it costs you.
Right.
Now you better take your credit card and stuff in there when you're gonna eat, huh, Keith? Or you're gonna be short.
Right.
And that I'm joking, gentlemen, but we are the laboratory of change. You know, we want to help the community, man. I would say economic development. And these gentlemen are testament to what the MFL is about. Because not only, of course, we're going to pay our GM, but they generally care, Keith. They generally care about the community. And that's why when we get all these resumes and people, well, I want to interview for the job there, and I'm going across the country. You don't know nothing about Philadelphia. How you gonna move there and be a GM there, coach? You don't know nobody. I want people from that. I want people from Philadelphia. Because I know I used to go up there, and if you ain't go to Center City, you get lost. You got to go all the way back to Center City because all the streets still one way. Right, gentlemen? I got to go. You make one wrong turn, buddy. You got to go back to Center City and pick up. Keith, you've been up there, right, Keith? And don't go to an Eagle game and get in up there, buddy. But they got something for you because they still have that jail down in the bottom.
Well, they moved to South 95 now. When we used to go to the Veterans Stadium, a whole other ball game, no pun intended. But,
oh my goodness, man! But on the real side, gentlemen, I'm really excited. Not so much about the NFL, but you guys. And I tell people all the time, you made the NFL what it is. And they look, man, but no, you made it. Stop going to their games if you want. Stop buying their apparel. Our stuff look just as good, gentlemen. You know what I mean?
That's right.
We got everything they got.
That's right.
All the apparel, we got everything they got. And these are young men that's still relevant, that went to the different universities up there, and they playing at home. They're not going across the country, so they're at home. You know Russ, he's a player such a college. Now, he's not just standing on the street. He's playing in the MFL. He's coaching in the MFL. You know, Shawn is a GM in there. I know. You see, that's the camaraderie, the connection that you have. That's what makes the MFL. That's why we've been around for 27 years. And people, all of a sudden, you read the stuff on the Shawn and say, wait a minute. I thought this was new. That's new to you. It's not new. But thanks to social media, gentlemen.
That's exactly the way that I was too. You know, and shouting out my brother Chuck Barlow.
Yeah.
If it had not been for Chuck Barlow, and you know, and he's shout out to him and the Georgia Warriors. You know, of him giving me the opportunity, just talking to me about the MFL, and then introducing me to you. And it happened at such a great time because we have a lot of adversity. You know, when we start talking about, you know, what the MFL has the opportunity to do here in the city of Philadelphia, just specifically, you know, Keith, the thing that we talked about, you know, is and what you hit on was very important because, you know, football is that it brings us together. It brings us together, gives us something to want to be able to have camaraderie about, you know, to have, you know, more of a fraternal, you know, a fraternal feel, you know what I mean, and that team spirit. And so, but what we have here in Philadelphia is one of the highest murder rates that has happened, you know, in so many years. Not just the COVID, you know, that has taken and claimed many lives, but gun violence, you know, hatred, you know, racism, you know, sexism, you know, so many different, you know, D factors, So many different things that plague our communities, that the MFL has the opportunity. One thing in particular with the Philadelphia Police Department, we have a great opportunity now with the help of the Pennsylvania Saints to actually build a strong, formidable partnership with the city of Philadelphia through our police department, and utilizing, the fact that we have that community service foundation within the MFL, to the no thugs, the no drugs, all of these things that we have, as well as the partnership and hopefully the affiliation with our Veterans in the Hood and veterans movement, to be a part of this whole situation. We have an opportunity to save lives. That's the bottom line. We have an opportunity as well as an obligation as fathers. Everyone on this, as fathers, as husbands, as uncles, as leaders, to be able to do something, to bring something. And Dr. Myles, again, hats off to you for what you have been able to do over the last 27 years. We thank God. We thank God for you, and the fact that you had the vision, to bring this apart. And because, down the line, how could you have seen 27 years ago that you would be doing something in the city of Philadelphia that was groundbreaking? Where we have a team that comes from within. Like you said, what's so important, is you have kids that grow up playing in Philadelphia in the little league teams and the preparatory teams, and they go away in college and no one ever gets to see them play. Just imagine having those kids, those young men that go to high school here. They may go away for a couple of years and then find out that the team that they went to and the opportunity has closed on them. Just imagine the amount of young men that will say, "Hey, wait a minute, the MFL is giving me an opportunity to play here, to give me an opportunity to go beyond, go from the football field to the front office, of the sport." So I'm excited. I'm just excited about the opportunity just to save lives, to be an agent of change, and for the laboratory to change and be a part of that. Dr. Myles, is just immeasurable what you've been able to put together, and I'm so glad that you're giving us an opportunity to do it here in Philadelphia.
Absolutely. Russ, and all time, it's great your background, because my background is, we're in Montgomery County Police Department, and we also had DC, and then the state's attorney of Prince George's County used to work for the MFL. Now she's the state's attorney out there. So we had those connections, gentlemen. We want everybody to recognize, not because we're in different municipalities, different cities, but we're doing basically the same thing. And you and I know it's very refreshing to know that I'm not the only one doing something or think like this. Russ, this is, we all thinking together. Russ?
Yes, sir. I actually grew up in Montgomery County, and I went to Abington High School, actually. As far as what this means to me is, a couple of years ago, more than a couple of years ago, maybe 15 years ago, I had the pleasure of playing on the adult football team that Patty LaBelle owned. Patty LaBelle owned
the championship.
Yeah.
Absolutely. They beat us. You were playing, we played them, and nice played, and Patty said, "I'm going to beat you, Dr. Myles." And they beat us up there. Her manager used to be the coach of the team, right?
Thomasine Pierre.
Huh?
Thomasine Pierre. That was it.
They came down Condoza, and they beat us in a tight game. So we said, we're going to see you in the championship. And we came up to Philly, because if you remember, I bought cases of water up there with the MFL on the bottom. I gave them cases of water as it was, we just do stuff. But they beat us up there, up in Philly. So that we played them up there. I'm going to pull a tape. Matter of fact, I'm going to send you pictures, and I'll show them to you. I'll show y'all. Yeah, I remember. She had that too.
Yeah, I don't know if I was playing that year. I did a couple of years with them, and then I played with the Philadelphia Outlaws as well. So that's one thing. But the thing that I think is an integral part and the uniqueness of what Shawn and I bring to the table, in addition to our many alliances in the city. Mine stemming from the 10 and a half years I did in radio. I used to be a talk show host on WWDB, WURD, and WNWR. I used to have a business networking talk show. And right now, Shawn is about 85, maybe 90% completed on his own radio studio that he has inside one of the buildings he owns. And we're planning on leveraging that studio as to bring awareness to the MFL, interview our players, interview the people that want to support it, announce when the games will be played, and things of that nature. So we're bringing in all the resources that we have built over the years, and we're actually putting it at the doorstep of the NFL.
Absolutely. We're going to bring y'all down. We got to show off our little bit stuff. Ain't that right, Keith? Keith got that big old pretty station over there, the Office of Cable and Television and Movies over there. And we're going to have Keith coming up there covering y'all stuff. You know, he's still playing hardball with me, but we gonna get him. You know, I get him. Great reporter, very knowledgeable about the game of sport, but more importantly, he's generally interested in what the MFL is doing. And we truly are the laboratory of change. And I must apologize, Russ. I wasn't aware. I did not know what capacity, because we couldn't get Shawn, you know, his stuff was going on now. So I was saying, is this the head coach or this, you know? So I want to wait till I got Shawn on there. But you know, I brought you on. But when y'all come down here for the signing, gentlemen, you're going to be very impressed. And anything y'all need from the MFL, like I told Shawn, you know, don't try to do nothing by yourself. Because I'm going to tell you something, and you guys might can agree with this. People act differently toward people from somewhere else than they do people that's there. You know what I mean? I'm telling you, Oklahoma, they gave the GM a hard time, but as soon as I got on there, and Dr. Myles, he's Washington, D.C., I said, yeah, we based here. He got to, you know, always say, people always, you know what he did, right? He went right to the internet, right? Pull everything up. His whole persona changed. Everything changed, y'all. Everything changed. And it's a shame, but like I said, don't try to do things by yourself. I know y'all very connected and everything, but this is a big league, gentlemen, a huge league. And when you start looking at that, you see where all the teams are, and you see where we're going over after, people just like, wow, you know. So everybody, great backgrounds. You check everybody in. Most of the guys played in the league. Most of the people from the corporate sector. More importantly, we are thinking and we have like minds just like y'all. So everything that y'all thought about doing and say, hey, this gonna work, you find out, say, wait a minute, this the kind of stuff I was thinking about doing. You know what I mean? So what y'all do is enhance what the MFL is doing. And I tell everybody, I don't want you to come here and be no puppet. I tell people all the time, if you're the smartest person in your organization, then you're gonna have a problem. You know what I mean? You can't be the smartest, can't be the brightest bulb. So I look for people like yourselves, gentlemen, and to come in and make an impact. Because when you come down here, man, we're gonna push you like you just won the president of the United States. Because we do it all. We put it on TV and everything. You know, Keith, our GM, what you want to see that you there, everybody around the country gonna see. And abroad. That's why I would say documentation be conversation, gentlemen. But I know that I'm very excited about how you like the uniform, Shawn. Did you show Russ the uniform?
You know, I sent everything over to him. I'm just waiting for the actual so we can sign. And just to let you know, we're ready to sign our first player as soon as we receive the jersey. Yeah, we got our first player. We're ready to sign.
To be honest, you know, I designed and don't really like it, but I designed 2 of them. So y'all have the jersey coming up there. You'll have it in a little bit. But Keith, I'm gonna let you have these last 3 minutes and with these gentlemen, because also, gentlemen, we do inside the MFL radio show. We do it on Saturday mornings at 11 o'clock. And I'm gonna definitely get you guys on that too. Now, when you're in the studio, it's live like this. But since we're through you, Keith, we're going to do audio, but we're going to call y'all. We get you connected where you can come on. And all our shows come on 11 o'clock Saturday mornings. What is that, Keith? 96?
96.3.
96.3, yeah. So on Saturday mornings inside the MFL, gentlemen. And then, of course, we do the live broadcast on Wednesdays and Fridays. But let me let Keith hit these last few minutes, and then before I close out, because I know he got a lot of questions. That's why he holding out on
your fabulous stuff as usual, Doc. So I really have limited words for these guys. Congratulations, first and foremost, on taking on this huge endeavor. You can't find a more quality leader than Dr. Richard D. Myles Sr. On that, to get the whole title in there. The doctor thing is newer for you, or for him, for us, but it's always Myles. But great leadership, great opportunity, and that's one of the things that Myles and I always talk about. It's one of the reasons I stay interested in the league, because it continues to evolve, continues to do the right thing for communities, for cities, for towns, for states, and obviously for now getting into Africa is a huge deal. So Myles just stays on that treadmill and keeps going. And he expects, and you guys will probably know this if you haven't already figured it out, Myles does expect. He expects you to run the franchise as best you can, to come to the table with ideas, to be a good leader, to be a good example setter, and to take the knowledge that you've gotten either through the police force or through playing professional football like Russ or whatever it is. It all comes together as the MFL. And that's, while it's competitive on the field, when it comes to the front office, if you're a general manager like you are, Shawn, in Philadelphia, and you get a call from the general manager in San Antonio, you guys have just exchanged information. It's competitive that way, but it's all about the betterment of the league and the betterment of the product itself. So those are things that you guys will be tasked with bringing to the table. So that's kind of what I had to throw out there, because I'm anxious to really. Philadelphia is one of those markets I really didn't see Doc getting into. It's a big step. We know the history of the green team that's already in town, but this is a different animal, and it really can be more impactful. I know Jeffrey Lurie tries to do stuff in the community and stuff, but these guys, these multimillionaire, billionaire guys are doing things peripherally. Not you guys. You guys are boots on the ground. You guys are in action, and you guys are the ones to provide the leadership and show how it's done.
And I want to thank you, Keith, and I want to thank Shawn for being on, up there in brotherly love, and Russ, I thank y'all. I'm looking forward. Always pick the phone up, gentlemen. As I tell Shawn, call me, man. All the GM numbers are right there. I'll call them. They want to hear from y'all. And I want to thank you as usual, Keith, for being on. Gentlemen, thank y'all for being on. You've been watching another edition of Inside the MFL. I'll see you Saturday morning. Thank you, gentlemen.